Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. This is just a little video to essentially give you some extra context before we can get on with the questions, because a few things happen behind the scenes and I want to address them here real quickly. One of the minor ones is that you'll notice that me and Daniel essentially look a bit like different rather than what you saw in the teaser at the end of our reaction video. That's because me and him decided to refilm our answers for the questions. For one, it's because while it was funny seeing me answer the questions drunk, I felt it was a bit off-putting and decided not to go with that. And secondly, because a certain amount of time had passed, my opinions on certain parts of the episode had changed or were more redefined. This is especially shown in when I talk about Millie and how she was represented in this episode as well as throughout the show, because both times I was essentially rambling my thoughts instead of it being like coherent, and as such you're going to see, well, me interrupt it again just so it can be more streamlined, just because it's a touchy subject in the fandom about like how Millie is in the show, because we all love her, but in how she's being handled is when opinions differ, and I want to make sure my thoughts were clear on just how I thought about the whole thing. And also because a few people who I showed the reaction to were questioning this, I wanted to clear up why it was that during certain times in the reaction I was looking off to the side instead of directly into the camera. That's because I have this fear of like halfway in recording, since I can't really look at the screen, since when you flip the screen around the quality of the camera is much lower and I want it to be like as high quality as possible. I have this fear that while I'm in the midst of recording, that when it's all said and done, I turn my phone around and it's like, oh, turns out you ran out of storage, or something came up and essentially cut off the recording. And as such, that raw reaction is gone. that first minute reaction. And because of that, I had essentially a frames of a poster that I have right behind it. I had it set up right over there. And because just that paranoia was like always stabbing the side of my head, every now and then I just had to check the reflection, which would show the screen of my phone. And so that way I can see, is it still recording? Still good? No notification saying I'm out of storage? No nothing? Okay, good. Also, a major one is that you'll notice that we have an extra guest member on this. You see, for the first time in a while, we actually had a couple more people planned to be with us on the reaction, but due to last second changes, some things popping up in live, and some technical difficulties, the extra guests that we had on were just unable to join us for the reaction. But one of them still wanted to do the questions, that being Jakster, a good friend of mine, especially on twitter.com. So while he was able to answer the questions, he just wasn't able to react to it. But hopefully we'll get him on to react to the next episode. Super close, I'm excited. So with all of that, I hope you enjoy us just throwing our thoughts out there about what we thought of the episode, our pros, our cons, and just, yeah. But before we go on to that, there's someone I wanted to get their reaction of on a particular scene about this episode. Since the episode made a Titanic reference, I wanted to get a reaction from someone who I consider to be the biggest Titanic fan out there.
It's been 84 years.
Isn't that from that boat movie?
That actually happened.
Well,
I want to see it again. He's on the there, yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, when I first saw this part, and well, you being a massive Titanic fan,
On the lounge with the necklace. Oh, funny.
But since you were like, you saw it like in theaters like so many times,
Yeah.
is this like accurate?
Well, he's there doing the drawing. Although he didn't have it on an easel, he had it just on a pad on his, But her on the thing with no top and the
Oh, that's Moxie.
the
That's a
necklace.
guy.
Yeah.
So
It's
Whatever.
been 84 years.
Isn't that from that boat movie?
That actually
that from that boat movie?
I'm sorry, just when I thought of that, I just thought of you.
That was cute, Tyler. Oh, yes, that's me, the Titanic. The lover of all things Titanic.
In my honest opinion, the episode was a blast. It's by far, like, so far, the best episode of season 2. It's, if I had to rank them, you have episode 3, episode 1, and episode 2. It is so far the best written, the most entertaining, honestly hilarious, and just so far it is like just the best episode.
I thought the episode was good. It was funny. Had a lot of action. Gave us a lot of background on Moxie and his family and his past before joining the Imps. We didn't hear a whole lot about Millie, about her relationship with Chaz, but it seems very, very evident that it wasn't good. I wish we could have gotten a bit more about her past with him, just to flesh him out more as a douchebag character. You know, it was very, very well established that he was a douchebag.
Well, I thought it was pretty good. We got some interesting perspective of what life in Moxie's family is like, and we realized, like, much of the other fathers, that it's shit. You know, we saw it with Stolas as well as Blitzer, and it's just a case where it's like, ugh, these fathers are shit, especially Moxie's, because it's like, you know, fucking murked his mom, man. I think it was his mom. Fucking dad murked his mom, and I absolutely hate that, as well as his dad hurt him as a kid, and I just cannot stand that. It got under my skin. I was so angry throughout the episode. In the end, I thought it was bringing up some important points about bringing up points about relationships between fathers and exes, and Helluva seems to be been doing a lot of that recently, in regards to their episodes, and I think that's great. You know, very, very important in this day and age. You know, where these messages are paramount. You know, I believe they're very important in our society. But I just thought, but overall, in terms of fun-wise, it's fun. I enjoyed it. It was funny. Like, I loved seeing Millie being so loyal with Moxie, because their relationship and seeing how good it is just, it makes me feel warm inside, you know, and gives me hope. Plus, we got more love.
In terms of what I thought of the episode, it was definitely an interesting take, given the fact that, you know, we all knew Moxie would get his own episode in time, but to learn about both his dad and his mom, albeit more so about the former, it was definitely interesting. And you can definitely see where he gets a lot of his tendencies as a person where he is now. And a good reason, it gives you a good reason as to why he said, you know, oh, I dreamed my parents were getting murdered. I'd like to go back to that. Now we know why.
I have to agree. I think that this is probably the best episode for the season, at the very least. Yeah, you basically just said everything I was about to say. You really cannot add anything else.
I liked that we got to know a bit more about Moxie. Got to know that he's part of a mob family. I would have thought about that being a thing. It's funny. Now you have basically the backstories of the Imps, but not Luna just yet. Besides her being adopted by Blitz. So I like that we now have almost complete backstory for all three of them, except for Luna.
I mean, as I already said, I liked learning more about Moxie's past, and it was very interesting seeing Chaz, you know, after seeing a lot of teaser artwork about him.
Chaz, he was one of the highlights of this episode. He was hilarious every time when he pulled a joke about his stuff. all the time.
My man, we are the age of 22. We can say dick and balls, cock.
Oh, alright, fine. I'll say dick and balls.
Snoopingas!
The whole backstory was shocking. Very shocking.
I did not see that coming. I just...
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, and the jokes were funny too. It was overall just a good episode.
If I had to condense it down in terms of what I like, much of the aforementioned, how it brought up good points, very relevant points to to what's going on in the world today, in regards with society and people and just a lot of important people stuff. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the lore building and the world building. We found out more about our characters while keeping the comedy, and that's what I liked. It was just really character building, it was fun and almost very serious, which I actually enjoyed. That it was a bit serious for a few parts.
In terms of what I liked, I loved the music. I loved just the whole backstory on Moxie. I think that was handled really well. I loved the humor. I loved just the sort of in-depth we got into Moxie, sort of that character dive, that tearing apart to see how is this character put together. I really enjoyed that, especially with the inclusion of Chaz. Chaz is already on my top 10 characters you love to hate. That fucking energy and stage presence. I'm going to save it all for later, but just Chaz, one of the pros of this episode. Also, we had a very strong villain in the form of Crimson. Just overall, I can definitely see him as top tier foes IMP needs to worry about. Sort of. There is one issue, but yeah, we'll get to there. Also, of course, I don't know if as I've said before, the humor is always on point. Even if it's a bad episode, it can still make you laugh. And you gotta give Helluva Boss that. Even if the episode's not that good, you'll still get a couple laughs from it. And of course, how can we forget one of the short stack queens herself, Millie. Such a badass. Especially that final scene where she just went full Rambo.
I dislike Chaz. I disliked his song. And I disliked Chaz a lot. Also disliked Moxie's father. Yeah, they're both just horrible people. I feel like the only good father we've met is... Actually, no, there's two good fathers. There's Stolas and Millie's father. He was decent.
Well, for one, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me on this, I didn't like that Chaz died. Because I know they might have planned for him to be a one-off character just to get that part of Moxie's backstory out of the way, but I feel like they could have utilized him so much more than just a one-off character where it's like, oh, here's Moxie and Millie's past relationship, and now he's dead. It's like, we didn't even get to learn about his relationship with Millie. Because, they both dated Chaz at one point, and we only really learned about Moxie's side of that, so I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get to learn more about that.
The dildo scene, it was funny, but, I guess with me, I'm very desensitized, so, it kind of just felt like just pushed in there. But I'm sure some other people found it funny, and it was funny, looking at it from a different perspective. But, I don't know, it wasn't really anything I disliked.
So while this is, so far, the best episode of the season, there are a couple issues with it. And the main one that we gotta address is Millie.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Millie is an awesome character. I love Millie. Do you love Millie?
Yeah, that was awesome.
She is, and
Problem is,
we don't know that much about
Yeah.
her. And it's here where I'm cutting in again because both times while recording this, I was simply rambling, and I decided that for a subject like this, I need a script. Strap in, because it's still a lot to go over. While Millie is a fun character that we enjoy watching and is very entertaining and kicks so much ass, when you take a step back, you realize that there's not that much to her character, especially in comparison to the other members of IMP. What doesn't help is that her character motivation, the thing that drives her, is just mostly her husband, and that's it. The duo of Eminem is still fascinating, and we enjoy and love the relationship between Moxie and Millie. The only problem is that when you compare the two, the only one that still has a lot to them, especially when you take the other out of the equation, is Moxie. And because we know more about Moxie than Millie, it has become a bit frustrating. This was indeed a Moxie-centric episode, so it made sense that it focused on Moxie. It's that when we had an episode about Millie's family, that was also a Moxie-centric episode. So it seemed just a bit jarring that they didn't do the bait and switch. Have the episode that has Millie's family be about Moxie, then have the episode about Moxie's family be about Millie. Now, yes, to some degree, that should still make sense since it is Moxie's family, and we should get that little insight about Moxie and his backstory. But that then begs the question, why wasn't that the case with Millie when we met her family, as well as where she grew up in? And what further makes this even more frustrating is because that we learned that she dated Chaz. She had a relationship outside of Moxie, essentially a peek into her own character as an individual outside of Moxie. And that was very interesting and could have been explored, but it wasn't. Especially because this could have created a dynamic that could have presented a conflict to the relationship, which could have raised the stakes and really thrown a wrench into things. Maybe have Moxie question things, maybe have a little bit of regret, just really challenge them, only for them to come out on top and make their relationship all the more stronger. But because they didn't do that, it's kind of dwindles the stakes and also makes you wonder, what's the point of kind of like showing these two if we're not going to show them going to any conflict other than one has to save the other. You may have noticed that throughout the reaction, I kept saying that I was curious about what happened between Chaz and Millie. Like, what did Chaz do to her? What was the dynamic between the two of them? It was hinted at the beginning of the episode when Millie stormed in that she ran into her ex and that he pissed her off. This was very interesting, and we could have seen more of it, more of her own character. See how she would have been able to handle the situation, how she would be able to do this just outside of Moxie, how her, as an individual, would deal with Chaz. And trust me, I hate the fact that I have to keep saying that outside of Moxie, away from Moxie. But the thing is that most of her character motivation is just Moxie. So it's hard to really say what else her motivation could be other than just Moxie. And the thing is, this could have easily been fixed if we had just a little bit of dialogue between the two. Like if there was some banter between Millie and Chaz, of him trying to bring up some good memories, of them having fun, some good old times. What also could have helped is that we had a flashback of Millie and Chaz. Not as long as Moxie's, but still a flashback to just really show just how more of a dick Chaz is, but also to show what his relationship with Millie was like, and as such, build up her character, especially because we've hardly ever seen her, again, and I hate to sound like a broken record, outside of Moxie. Hell, when Chaz showed up at her door to just sing Chaz time and she cut him off, have her say something like how she'll never forgive him for what he did to her. Just something around those lines, and at the end of it, say, "Don't fuck with my husband," and then leave at that. You still have that motivation that we're all familiar with, but alongside that, a glimpse into her own character and how she sees Chaz, not just for dating Moxie, but how he was a dick to her and how she hates him for it. That way, we both got basically her trying to protect Moxie from this douchebag shark, but also a little bit of her own motivation, her own self-identity. But instead of all of that, from what we saw a glimpse of at the beginning, anytime she's really angry at Chaz, it's just because he fucked over Moxie and that she just has a feeling Moxie is not safe around him. And that's basically it. And because that's how the episode plays out, it feels like a bit of a tease. Like, hey, here's some interesting character development of Millie, but we're not going to give it to you. This is where I'm going to bring up the Twitter thread Vivziepop posted on her Twitter, explaining about why it is that Millie is the way that she is and why she's basically going this way. And while it is interesting and brings up some good and new perspectives, I do have a few counter arguments. One of the points that she does bring up is basically some of Millie's traits that we have seen throughout the show, mainly how she is indeed a focused fighter and that she loves her family, and she's also very up-spirited about most things. However, and stick with me here on this, while those are all like good, all said and done, it's definitely helps give some flavor to Millie as a character. Putting it metaphorically, that's how the character walks, but doesn't explain how she talks. Again, metaphorically speaking. Take for example Moxie. Good with guns, loves musicals, is a bit anxious at times, and has a good heart. That is how he walks. But for how he talks, it's all the reasoning behind what I just listed. What builds his morals, his relationship with others, how he may handle certain conflicts, what lies in his fears and hopes. And it's here where I have to ask you a question. If his shoulder angels and demons were to show up, how would that conversation go? And I think you could probably give me a decent answer about what his angel and demon shoulders would say. And the same goes with Blitz, Luna, Stolas, and hell, even side characters like Octavia, and probably Fizzarolli. But with Millie, the only thing we know about her outside of her love for Moxie, in terms of relationship with others, is that she has somewhat of a banterish relationship with Luna, and she has a sibling rivalry with Sally Mae. And that's about it. And of course, with the newest episode, her relationship with Chaz. But again, it didn't really explore it, because any motivation she would have to go against Chaz because of their past relationship and their past experiences is thrown out the window, because as soon as she realizes that he dated Moxie and basically fucked him over, it goes from, I know you, you're a dick, and that's why I don't like you, to, you fucked over my husband, and I hate you. And that's mainly the focus. One of the things, especially that people have been bringing up to defend why Millie has been written this way throughout this time, is that a Millie episode is coming. We are getting a Millie episode eventually. However, in my honest opinion, we should have gotten one already, or at the very least, still gotten an insight into her character outside of Moxie already at this point. Especially because we are at season 2. We should have had like a good chunk of her character understanding her character at the end of season 1. Don't get me wrong, I am excited for a Millie-centric episode, but again, it just brings up the question, why did it take this long? Because especially at the end of season 1, of course we know a lot about Blitz and Stolas, since Blitz is the main character and Stolas is his love interest, but we also know a decent amount about Moxie and even Luna. But Millie, not so much. She's essentially his wife, his love interest, his partner in crime, and that's about it. Just for the sake of bringing up an example to compare and contrast, let's take one of my favorite shows of all time, Community. While much like with Helluva Boss there is a main character, the show still gives ample screen time to the other members of the Greendale 7, so that at the end of season 1, while we don't know everything about each character, we still know a good amount of how they are individually as well as their relationship with one another. So while I am happy we are finally getting a Millie-centric episode, as I said before, in my opinion, we should have gotten one already.
And especially because when Vivziepop said that the show is focusing more so on the male characters than female characters, I'm not sure how to feel about that, because it's like I understand you're like certain characters will take priority, but it does feel like, hey, these are the characters we're going to like focus on, and these other characters we don't give a shit about. Not exactly, but that's how it kind of feels when you tone down that exaggeration a bit. And also because when Vivziepop said that Has-Been is going to be focusing more on the female characters, that gets me worried, because Angel Dust has been proven to be a fan favorite, and he's a guy. So what I'm worried about, will Angel Dust get the same treatment as Millie in Helluva Boss?
Hope not.
Hope not. because I love me Solus, but I love Angel just more. Slightly. There are also just a couple minor things with this episode that did but kind of bug me. Didn't you find it weird that Crimson didn't background check Chaz?
Yeah, he's like, just like, hey, I have money. Okay, I'll take it.
Exactly. This is not even just like a regular mafia guy. This is like the head of the Shark Mafia and Greed. You think he would do a background check, saying like just to make sure he wasn't bullshitting him. And it's one of the reasons why Crimson, while being a strong villain, I am uncertain about calling him like an extremely strong threatening villain, because apparently it's very easy to fool him. Also, it has come to my attention that the imp Moxie drowned on the boat was not his mom.
Oh, wasn't?
No, it wasn't. Someone pointed out the fact that the body shape, the tail, and the horns, like, basically were different from the mom. And in my opinion, it's a missed opportunity. Some people say like, oh, that's just too dark, too edgy, but no, it would honestly fit. I think it would have been the perfect like amount just to basically show how fucked up Moxie is.
Yeah, because mafia, cartel, gangs, they don't mess around.
They don't.
They will do that.
And especially like have their kid like do it to join the family, you know, make the family proud. Italian, Ezio Auditore.
It's a me!
No. So yeah, missed opportunity. But also, it does make me a bit worried, because some people have been theorizing that because of this, Moxie's mom may show up again. Because now there's that window of possibility that she's not dead. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like that. I think she should stay dead. If she is alive and she comes back, obvious question is, where the hell have you been? And secondly, it's like, oh, she's back. Well, she's going to die now. That's how this stuff goes. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I hope she's dead, because if she's alive, I don't think that episode's going to be a good one. Because we've seen that story played over and over again. So.
They're dead, and they're not dead. Wow.
And then they're dead.
I feel like you could have. I feel like they could have explained Chaz more on Millie's end of things. Like, I know it was a Moxie-centered episode, but I feel like it could have benefited from having Millie being involved as well on that part of it. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on Blitz whenever he slept with Chaz, because yeah, you know, there's the whole them fucking thing, and then seemingly him regretting it and, you know, going out to the car. But I would have liked to have seen more about his thought process on that, and I would have liked to have learned more about Moxie's mom, you know.
How would you look at that? My tracking. I can't believe my tracking fucking died. There we go. I would have liked to have known more about the mom, because, you know, I felt that hit a soft spot for me. Like, I was like, that would have been nice to have known more about the mom, maybe. But maybe we'll find more about the mom in the later episode or something, who knows. But it seems like the mom wasn't really much of a part of, I mean, they were a part of Moxie's life, but like, obviously they were cut short, it seems. Well, that's what I'm assuming. Know more about that dynamic, because the mom seemed to genuinely care, but the dad was just a piece of shit. I'm intrigued by that. I think that's what would have been an improvement to know more about that on a deeper level.
Well, I think the song could have been improved, although I'm sure that it was made to be a terrible song. Just drive it home how horrible and just terrible Chaz was. Not just as like, well, as a character he's good for what he's supposed to be, but as someone if you'd want to be around him or not, you definitely don't want to. Not even Blitz wanted to be around him. As the episode, I don't feel like anything else could have been improved besides Chaz. And it did what it needed to do really well, from my standpoint. I think I already answered that. Yeah, Moxie's father is horrible, but then again, he's a mafioso, so. And Chaz, also very horrible. But somehow even worse than Moxie's father. But I am looking forward to seeing Moxie's father again, because it seems like he's not going to go away. Unlike Chaz, who thankfully went away. Hopefully permanently.
Did I jump scare you? Yeah, I bet I did. You coward. Your weakness is pathetic.
I mean, a lot of people know I am a Chaz fan. I like him as a character. I know he's a fuckboy, but I just like his character.
Let's talk about Chaz, audience. Ooh. Visually, the guy kinda cool. Content to character though, I absolutely disapprove on the highest level imaginable, and I hate him with an absolute iron-fisted passion. And I would love to beat him the fuck up, but I can't. And he's fucking dead. So I guess I got my wish. That, and he was an ex who was just really, you know, it seems like he, in a relationship, he was a fucking coward. He left his fucking, you know, partner or like, you know, behind, right? Like I hate cowards, man. I hate people who run like that. Who are like, oh yeah, you fucking trapped. Oh my god. So I really despise Chaz for who he is and what he did to these people.
Chaz was, as mentioned before, hilarious, fun character.
I got a big dick. I cannot wait to meet the VA in real life because Eric Schwartz looks like a really cool and sweet dude, and his charisma matches Chaz. I can see why Vivziepop chose him to voice the character, because he's a character we're supposed to hate, but that charisma, that theatrical antics, just the way he presents himself, and like the punchline to each joke, like the timing is just beautiful. You hate him, but you also love him. Chaz, honestly, is kind of the heart of this episode.
Yeah. It's a shame that he's gone.
Well, actually, it's been confirmed we'll see him in flashback sequences. But for the most part, he is dead, though.
Yeah.
And because of that, moment of silence for our bro Chaz.
I got a big dick. 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 I got a big dick.
Rest in peace, homie. Rest in peace. And then there's Crimson.
Crimson, as I love to hate him. Let's say that. He's a good villain. He played his role well, and I would like to see him again in future episodes, especially with the way that they ended the episode with him throwing the dagger at Moxie in the painting. As for the henchmen and all that, I do like the idea of sharks being embodiments of greed, because, you know, loan sharks, card sharks, the whole 9 yards.
Hate him. Obviously, he's meant to be like a mafioso kind of type. You know, big family, whatever, you know. Fucking abused Moxie and hit him and treated him like shit. Good character, though. He's a good character because of how he makes me feel. He makes me hate him in a way that makes sense, you know? And I'm like, yeah, he's a good character, but I hate his fucking guts.
Crimson, while when you stop to think about it, that one jump in logic does kind of make you question things. Crimson, it was threatening till the end, and utter badass. I absolutely loved him.
Yeah, definitely.
He like the intensity, the presence, like he is definitely someone you don't want to fuck around with. In my opinion, he makes the top 3 like best villains in the show so far.
Yeah, definitely.
4?
What's there more to add? that. I'm just agreeing.
Oh, and that reminds me, Daniel-san, it's time to measure Crimson's gay DILF energy. And I must say, my friend, throughout this episode, this motherfucker with those thick, juicy thighs of absolute gayness. This man is a repressed, closeted gay, and you cannot change my mind. That man is some killer. However, in comparison, Paimon still that man is a gay ass motherfucker, and you can't tell me otherwise. Paimon is fucking DILF. Let me sleep on this pecs. Magnifique, pasta, Italian joke. No. Crimson, second place so far. Second place. Woo! What is with this show and giving us some hot dads?
The song at the end, right? When Millie was fighting, right? Love that song.
Yeah.
I would play that song like while I'm animating because fuck, I love that kind of do or die for you mentality, right? Because it's just, and I love the lyrics and that, and like you could hear it, and it was funny, it was funny and powerful, and it got your adrenaline going. It was great.
So, obvious one is, of course, the wedding crashing song was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was just an absolute banger. So cool. I wish I can find a clean, clear version like on YouTube and Spotify, because I want to listen to that. I haven't been able to find one just yet. Release the song, SpindleHorse. Release the song, because it is awesome. I can't slam my desk any harder, because if I did, the camera would fall.
Song during the fight was good. Made me invested into it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
We gotta talk about Chaz time. Now, on first viewing, I did not like the song. The thing is that I love villain songs. Like, I absolutely love them. You want my opinion on what some of the best songs in Disney movies are? It's the villain songs. Always. I don't care what you say that could say, like, oh no, Hakuna Matata was amazing, or Under the Sea was awesome. No. Be prepared. On Poor Unfortunate Soul, Prince Ali reprise, Friends on the Other Side, just villain songs are the best. Change my mind. You can't, because villain songs are awesome. And it's because of that, when Chaz was about to sing, I was expecting a top tier villain song. Something that could perhaps play on Moxie's emotions, since Chaz is indeed his ex, perhaps make him think remember the good old days, remember how we used to cuddle in bed and you be sucking my dick and you love my dick as I perform that anal. Even bring out a little bit of that fear towards the end, soon be married to me, you'll forget your wife, forget your life. It's just just something that really plays with Moxie. That would have been awesome. But because it wasn't that, and it was just, hey, I'm Chaz, and I fuck a lot. I'm gonna fuck you. My dicks are big. And I'm saying dicks with an S because sharks technically have 2 dicks. Did you know that?
I think I heard about that somewhere.
Science is weird.
I have to agree with you there. I was expecting a full-fledged song with Chaz, but we just got him.
A joke, basically.
Yeah, a joke.
Yeah, so it is a shame that that Chaz's song wasn't as sort of deep and just heart-wrenching and just cool as other villain songs.
Yeah.
However, you see, Daniel, when you're me, editing this reaction, making sure the audio times up with the visuals,
Yeah.
and essentially having to then listen to it on repeat, I gotta say, the song has grown on me. It's such a stupid and silly song, but I actually enjoyed the song. It could have been so much more, but for what it is, I still laughed and I still had a good time. And at the very least, it still does fit Chaz. And because of the fact that Eric Schwartz is a singer and musician, it is well performed. And it grew on me. So I can't help but enjoy it.
The song was pretty good. It was pretty funny. Obviously, it was meant to be a bit like all sexual, and he was trying to be all seductive. It didn't fucking work, but he was trying. I know there's a few people out there who are probably being like, "Ooh," but thankfully I'm not one of them. So his song was alright, but I don't like Chaz, so.
I mean, it's a fuckboy song. We all know it is, but for what it was, I was into it. I mean, it was short. It could have been much better in terms of length, but it got its point across. It definitely let you know what kind of person Chaz was as he was singing it, so I think it was a pretty good one.
I need a barf bag. That song was horrible. The song that played when Millie was tearing all those mafia people up, that was great. Chaz's song was god awful. I never want to hear it again. Ugh. Never. I could make more. I could make better songs than that. I have made better songs than that.
From what we saw at Level Up Expo and just how the season has been going, I am excited. But a part of me is still worried just because of the fact that, as we've seen before, just, you know, the issues with Millie and like how there's the possibility of having sort of that insight into her character but not really getting it. And just especially from what we saw of episode 2 and how it kind of lacked focus. Episode 1 essentially not being a strong premiere. I am excited, but I'm also a bit worried is all.
I'm looking forward to future episodes because, like, for me, like, if you were to ask me this question, like, on the second episode, I wouldn't be able to give my opinion because, for me, it takes at least like 3 episodes at the most for me to like, okay, I think I will like, I'm looking forward to what's gonna come up. But if the first few episodes didn't impress me or something like that, I'd be worried. But this, like, all the episodes have been good, so I'm looking forward to it.
Especially because next episode we're getting Andrelphus, the gay ice peacock. Woo, that motherfucker going to be so awesome! I can't wait to cosplay as him. So it's a mixture of both, but for the most part, excited.
I'm just excited to see where it goes now. Saw Luna. We didn't see much Luna, but we saw Luna at the end, so I guess that's a win. I'm curious more about her still, but yeah, I guess I'm just worried for their safety. Something's gonna happen. A fight's gonna break out. You know, maybe he hires a hitman to knock him off again. I don't know.
So I'm definitely not worried. I mean, I'm not worried about the quality of the episodes. I am worried for the sake of them. Because having a Godfather mafioso type against you is not it's not good in any sense of the word. But I am excited to see what happens next.
I can definitely say that this episode excited me because it introduced characters for the backstory of the main cast, and I think that's good. It definitely opens up a lot of windows. My only concern is that, you know, that we won't get to see as much of these new characters in the future. I am looking forward, though, to the next episode, given the fact that it's in the Sloth Ring, and, you know, it's one that we've all been waiting on for a while, so I'm excited for that.